Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, in London, England, as well as Paris, France, and of course you good old boys in Canada. You know we love you in Africa, the Big C tribe, but there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful July the 4th, 2018. Big C, I know, is doing some barbecuing as you always are. I think you barbecue like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with those rotisserie fiery pits you have going on down south. I want to take today, just have a quick abbreviated show to tell the United States of America and all the countries all over the universe. Today is Independence Day. United States of America, 242-year-old country, and just appreciate the fact that we have the land of the free and the home of the brave. And I love Big C Sports, the fact that we can bring sports and politics to the world of the sports universe. I think so many people are grateful in this country that we have freedom of speech. We are a nation of laws. We love our sports. We love our politics. We even love our entertainment. One of the things that I'm so grateful for on this beautiful 4th of July holiday is when Big C Sports started about 2 years ago, we actually launched it on leap year. It was 2016. And then came onto different platforms as we continue growing in our push for getting on streaming television this summer of 2018. Another milestone for Independence Day. I just want to say to Big C, very grateful that we have a lot of fun. You know, I know you have a lot more fun than I do, Big C, with all your libations that you good old boys do down south. But I'm just grateful to be a kid from Northern California that has the opportunity to do something that I love. And I just want to give my gratitude to our country. There's so many things going on in our world of sports, whether you are a football player or a basketball, baseball fan, hockey, golf, soccer. You have the World Cup going on. So many people are invited to get together and celebrate sports, whether it's their favorite sports team. It could be their favorite athlete. We just had the signing of LeBron James, King James, coming to the West Coast, the land of vibranium, and he signed with the Los Angeles Lakers. And I tell you, as someone who's followed sports for a long time, there's a lot of excitement in the world when an athlete can move the TV dial more than politicians, even more than clergy. But we invite all of that with Big C Sports. We don't want to leave anybody out. Our show has never been one to just go quietly down the middle of the road with your eyes closed. I got to bring up something that I just saw recently. And this is for everyone trying to do anything that might seem a little bit challenging and you're not really sure how you're going to make it happen. But you know, as you keep going forward, you get closer and closer to what you want to be. Just being on the set last month, and being around some phenomenal people from Hollywood, people from the sports industry, entertainment industry, business world. There was a sign on a wall, and it talked about success. And one line had success was a straight line, because that's what everyone imagines. We all imagine that no matter what we want to do, it's going to be a straight line, kind of like a drag race. You go on a straight line, and there's no obstacles, no speed bumps. Everything is smooth. The reality is, what I saw right next to that picture was also a line, but it has squiggly lines in it, Big C, not like a kindergartner writing, or sometimes the way you write after you have a lot of those libations, Big C. It had success also being a squiggly line, kind of like in a race, NASCAR races, where they're going in and out of different turns, and the Formula One races where it's not a straight line like a drag strip. And so for every young person that's trying to do something to make your dreams come true, you always can go back and do what everybody else is doing. I think most people, if they're honest, they're probably going to pass away knowing that they never even lived their dreams and the other person, they're going to pass away knowing that they never even tried because they thought, well, how am I going to make it? I just know that being on the #1 network in the United States of America didn't happen by accident. I think some of it may be divine guidance, some of it may be whatever it is, but I know one thing that it is, and for the things that are coming, it's because you show up. And what I want to just tell every young person, when you appreciate in the land of the free, in the home of the brave, we live by a nation of laws. And those same laws apply to creating your own network, whether it's TV or radio. It's not just about hoping that you can walk into a door and someone gives you something. Life is not always easy. There's hardly any person in the United States that can say they got here on their own. I think there was Mr. Johnson, who had started the BET network back in 1979, became a billionaire, African-American man. He got a loan to launch BET, Black Entertainment Television. That wasn't around in 1975. He started that in 1979. He got a loan from some business people that saw his vision, and because he had the vision, they gave him the loan. Now, they only gave him, I think it was $15,000 from one entity. Another entity gave him, more money than that. But the fact of the matter is, it became a $1 billion industry. Now, it would never have become a $1 billion industry had he not taken that time to have that vision and launch that goal. That's something that I love with the Big C Sports program. And the fact that we're doing it in the United States of America, the land of the free, the home of the brave, that from 1619 to 1865 had slaves. That meant that people that looked like me and had no opportunity to do a Big C Sports show or to talk about NFL football like we love, NBA basketball, we love that, Major League Baseball, college sports, hockey, golf, soccer, it's all possible. But it's all possible because people with the opportunity decided to make it come to a platform that the whole world could follow. When I'm looking at the First Amendment to the United States, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and freedom of the press, we are all a part of that. And I would just encourage everyone, especially on this Independence Day, to do something that makes your dreams come true, even if it may be challenging at first. I even just talking this morning on Independence Day, I met someone from Canada, and just traveling here in the United States of America, and coming from Canada to live in the United States. Now, we know the United States doesn't have the same healthcare access that you have in Canada, but there's still people coming here because they love this country. I know we have World Cup. I know we have the NBA. We have Major League Baseball. A lot of the good things happening in this world. But I want to say, for Independence Day, I want to just say to every American and every person around the world, whether you are part of the Trump administrations, you're being profiled now coming up from Latin America, and you're seeking asylum in this great country, land of the free, home of the brave, and we have these great Statue of Liberty that says, bringers, you're tired, you're poor, and everybody who's trying to come here for a better way of life. That still holds true whether or not it's respected or not. Freedom of speech is still freedom of speech, even though sometimes it's called fake news. So I just want to say today, in the program that we have at Big C Sports, I really hope I can reach people that I meet all the time, because sometimes it reminds me of myself. You want to be something more, but you're not quite sure how to get there. So you can reach out to people who are already there and ask them to give you some tutelage, give you some knowledge, and impart some of their wisdom to you. The other way, the antithesis, is to try to do it yourself on your own without any help. I go back to Mr. Johnson. When he created BET, he got a loan for it. It was $15,000, and then there was some more money that came. And it launched BET Network that just had a celebration last month of June, and they gave out awards. It was hosted by the great Jamie Foxx. This show could not have happened during Jim Crow. I mean, Jim Crow ended 1964 Civil Rights Movement. I just want people to know that everybody that has an opportunity to live your dreams, there's gonna be that squiggly line to success. And the thing that I'm proud of is that on 4th of July, it was 2 years ago that we got accepted to the #1 network in the United States of America. And now from that, within a short 2 years, which seems like a long time, but it's not in the time of a lifespan. Now having the opportunity to bring Big C Sports to television, just like Mr. Johnson launched BET back in the day, he had to borrow $15,000. When he sold it as a billionaire. Now, anyone that can invest $15,000 and less than 2 decades later, you're a billionaire. That's a pretty good investment. But he did it because he was authentic to himself, and he was a black man. I mean, there's a lot of mainstream that have launched networks. Turner Network, Ted Turner's done a great job with his financial empire. I even reached out to Ted Turner, would love to get his mentorship with Big C Sports. Even the great Warren Buffett, reaching out to Warren Buffett, asking for his mentorship and launching Big C Sports. Reaching out to business moguls, and in Zuckerberg with Facebook, asking for his mentorship and launching Big C Sports. All these guys are billionaires. So the fact that having access to some of the top athletes in the world, having access to some of the top attorneys in the world, having access to some of the top TV executives in the world that have seen or listened to our product, that have seen some of the interviews, and that happened in the United States of America. You know, since doing Big C Sports, and what I'm grateful for, in the land of the free and the home of the brave, I would hope that everyone can write down, what are you grateful for, and who is on your team. And when you're going for that success, on Independence Day, 4th of July, in the greatest country in the universe, the United States of America, I believe that with all my heart, even with all of our challenges. I mean, sometimes, you know, as a kid, I think about you fall down and you bump your knee, and maybe you get a little bloody knee, and people say, hey man, your knee's bleeding, right? And sometimes you don't even know it. But people who come to your rescue, they say your knee is bleeding. Sometimes it's a parent or a grandparent, or it could be a relative, and they clean it up, they give you a Band-Aid. Next thing you know, you're right back on that bicycle trying to ride it again until you master it. And so in reaching out to Warren Buffett, reaching out to Ted Turner and Zuckerberg, and even if I get the chance to reach out to the great Oprah Winfrey, I would love to ask for her tutelage and impart some wisdom on how to take Big C Sports to that next level. And we're going to get there. I have some great mentors behind me already that I've already reached out. Met a lot of wonderful people. I'm not going to name drop, but they know who they are. But I feel like the same way Johnson felt when he launched BET. When he launched BET, he had a vision. And in that vision, he had to find a way to get the funding for it. Once he got the funding for it, it became a household name. Before that, it was not a household name. And he did not start out on the #1 network in the United States of America. So I'm grateful for that. I'm also grateful for some of my opportunities back at Salem Media. And they have, I believe, over 112 stations in the United States of America. I'm also grateful for going back even further than that on Independence Day. It's that squiggly line to success. It's not necessarily where you start, but it's how you keep ascending even through challenges. And there are times when you are trying to do anything on this beautiful Independence Day, in the land of the free and the home of the brave. There are times when people will look at your shortcomings and they'll say, yeah, but I remember you fumbled the football. Emmitt Smith, the leading rusher in the history of the NFL, came out of the University of Florida. And I remember Emmitt Smith fumbled a couple of times in his first year playing football for the Dallas Cowboys. That's just like anything else in life, whether it's Big C Sports, whether it's CNN News that came onto the scene because of Turner and his brilliance, whether it's someone like Zuckerberg with Facebook and some of the issues they're going through. People look at sometimes the things that don't go right at times, that success has a squiggly line to it. Or even if you look at some of the people that I'm talking to now about launching television with Big C Sports, not one person, and this is for young people, on this beautiful Independence Day, is to really make you independent of your fears also. Your fears of what's going to happen if you try. Maybe you fail. Maybe you're like that kid that tried to walk the first time. You may have fallen down. You know, sometimes, Big C, you still fall down after you relax a little bit with the libations you have going on. But I got to remember this. On this Independence Day, success is a squiggly line. It's not a straight line. And you don't have to tell people what you're doing, because there are people who will say, well, who are you to try? I remember you back in the day when you were whatever. When you borrowed money, or when you tried something and you failed, or you tried 3 or 4 things and you failed. I remember when you lost this. I remember when you lost that. Don't worry about that. Everybody goes through something. Now, I tie this in to LeBron James. LeBron James became a billionaire because of his latest contract, and he probably has a lot more money than we know of. But would you believe, as a young 30-something-year-old man, I think 32, 33, he was not born into wealth. But what he did with his Independence Day is he took the opportunity to craft his skill, and he made himself better. And now he's not even 35 years old. But the whole sports universe, in fact, the sports universe, they all pay attention to what LeBron James is doing. If he's going to sign with the Lakers, is he going to leave Cleveland? Was he going to go to Miami? But no matter what people think about him, good or bad, would you know LeBron James kept going forward? He kept going forward through injuries. He kept going forward through losses. Whether he's in an NBA Finals or not, he's gone forward through his wins and his losses. He kept pushing forward. There's a man by the name of Gaston, Arthur Gaston. He lived to be 104 years old. Former Arthur Gaston, African American, he was born in Jim Crow, and he became an insurance man and a financial man born in Jim Crow. He amassed over $100 million in his lifetime. He grew up around people that said, who are you to try? Oh, they won't let you have anything. This country has racism and sexism and all the isms. But even with that, President Barack Obama became president of the United States because he kept pushing forward. And his beautiful wife, First Lady Michelle Obama. I want to bring that hope to all people. I believe that this country is the greatest country on the face of the earth. Where there's Dr. King saying, I have a dream that all men are created equal. We all know that. We all are. And I always want to acknowledge Dr. Leakey and Gregor Mendel. You know, the world's foremost scientists and paleontologists. They opine that all life began on the African continent. That all of us are Africans. Google it. And we ask people to Google everything because we're all the same. I just got to go back to this thing on Independence Day that I want to share with Big C over 40 years of award-winning TV work in radio, as a broadcaster, a historian, all-pro football player, an expert on professional collegiate sports, has a historical perspective unmatched by anyone I've seen in the broadcast industry. Maybe a Brent Musburger meets Harry Edwards, if you could look at it that way, with an opinion on real issues and topics that won't be touched by other people. And I love the fact that he's willing to bring that to Big C Sports. So the thing that I've found, even with myself, started in college, working on television and doing TV and radio and an internship. Actually, my first internship was at a station that Rush Limbaugh had just left in Northern California before he went to New York. And just all the things that you learn over the years. Tom Kelly, the late Tom Kelly at USC, gave me an opportunity to get on with Fox Sports with John Madden's crew as a production assistant, working in the Bay Area. And that was Mike Roig and Fran Morrison. That was back in 1996. I won't forget those guys ever. And I just want to say to everyone trying to have that success, that looks like a squiggly line. And to go back to Mr. Johnson that launched the BET Network, and he borrowed $15,000. He borrowed $15,000 and he turned it into $1 billion company. Now, no matter what happens in that man's lifetime, he'll forever be known as the man who launched BET. I even look at what Oprah has done. And I just want to finish the thought on BET. Black Entertainment Television is an American basic cable and satellite station. Channel that is owned by BET Networks, a division of Viacom. Why is that so important? Because he launched his Independence Day when he started BET. It's amazing that BET doesn't have sports on it when it caters to black entertainment, and African Americans are mostly known in this country and have made billionaires as team owners of sports teams, whether it's NBA, NFL. Majority of those athletes are African American, and I tell you, those owners are billionaires because of that. And again, amazing BET hasn't launched a sports product or a network yet. It just seems like it goes right in line. So whether it's BET or CNN, I love CNN and watching what Turner's done with that network, from Don Lemon to Chris Cuomo, so many great people, Van Jones, and just a lot of wonderful people that I've seen, Wolf Blitzer, over the years. Going back to Bernie Shaw, I remember watching Bernard Shaw when I was in college, Christiane Amanpour, and just seeing some of the great anchors and entertainers that they've had on that show, politicians, from presidents to the clergy, and even seeing entertainers and athletes of late. Draymond Green was just on the Chris Cuomo on CNN just recently. But I just want everyone to know, what is Independence Day to you? And today's an abbreviated show because I wanted to come on. I know Big C's doing some cooking, but I wanted to just give my thanks for Independence Day as we launch Big C Sports on the television. And I go back to being flown to Super Bowls, working Super Bowls. My first one was NBC Sports with the Green Bay Packers and the Denver Broncos down in San Diego. And then covering Super Bowls all throughout Sports Talk USA, doing work with CBS Sports, Fox Sports, ABC, Monday Night Football. May not have known who I was, but I remember meeting Al Michaels back in the day when they were doing games out in San Francisco. And I'll specifically remember a game when Jerry Rice, it was a Monday night game. I think they were playing the Oakland Raiders, and he ended up catching, he set a milestone in touchdown catches. I think it's 100 or somewhere in there. I might be wrong. But I know that was a Monday night game in San Francisco. And I remember visiting with my mother over in San Francisco. She was doing some work also the night before that game, talking about how everybody is anticipating Jerry Rice getting to 100 catches. So from that to Sports Talk USA with David Ross out of Dallas, Texas. Met him at the Super Bowl down in Florida when Denver ended up playing the Atlanta Falcons. I want to go back and say thank you to everyone that gave me an opportunity. You may not have known it, but I hope that some young person is just like me when I first met the late Pat Summerall and John Madden in their broadcast trucks, and then later in the broadcast booth, about 10, 15 feet away, keeping stats. That's because of Mike Roig and Fran Morrison. So with Big C Sports, I've met so many people in the Bay Area, and from Greg Papa, keeping stats with him when he was doing, I was a spotter for Greg Papa, who's now the Oakland Raiders play-by-play guy, and does a lot of work, and he covers every sport. But he was at a Stanford game, and with Stanford playing, I think, San Jose State down at the farm when I met him. Dan Bill Walmany, Bill McDonald. I did the last game as a specialty statistician with Bill McDonald on Fox Sports when they were doing the last game at Haas Pavilion at Cal Berkeley before they expanded it. And that was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. But I remember that before they expanded from 6,000 to 12,000 seats, working the 99th big game down on the farm with Cal playing Stanford. And, guys like Brad Muster that play it for the Chicago Bears and a graduate of Stanford University. There's also a couple of gentlemen that are still doing TV work in the Bay Area for Channel 5 CBS in the Bay Area. Also, there was Joe Fonzie. I remember spotting a game for Joe Fonzie. He was on Channel 2 for many years. I met Dennis Richmond, who was at KGO Channel 7 in San Francisco. A lot of those things that I've just learned over the years. And from Dave Cox, that got me started up at Cable One Sports in Santa Rosa back in the early 90s. We went on to won a sports show. Did a lot of good things, but what does that mean about being grateful for this Independence Day? I think sometimes we got to go back and thank people to say Happy Independence Day, but also thank you for giving me a chance. And so, Big C, I've known you in the sports business as someone that said you gotta believe, you gotta believe, you gotta believe. And don't worry about the people who are not on your boat. You focus on the people who are on your boat, who's on your boat helping you pull that boat. You block out all the negativity, because there's gonna be good and bad no matter what you do. But you gotta block it out. I wanna pay a special homage to Oprah Winfrey. I've never met Oprah, but I believe I'm going to. And I know that young woman has inspired more people all over the universe that she's never met, because they saw her showing up, they saw her speak, they knew her background. She gave so much praise to the late Maya Angelou, and so many wonderful people that came before her that imparted knowledge to her. So even though she may not have met certain people, she's inspired millions of people all over the world. I want to do the same with Big C Sports. I love this industry, and for my lifetime, I'm just grateful that I had parents that believed in me and told me to keep trying no matter what. Don't listen to people like when Emmitt Smith fumbled a couple of times, and they said, man, how's he going to make it? He became the leading rusher in the history of the NFL. Jerry Rice, when he came out of Mississippi Valley State, Bill Walsh drafted him for the 49ers. He had a hard time holding on to footballs, Big C. Imagine a guy that fumbled a lot, couldn't hold on to the football like it was wet. He ended up having the most touchdowns in the history of the NFL, a Hall of Famer. How did these things happen? It happened because they kept pushing. So whether it's Oprah Winfrey or just watching people, Johnny Carson, growing up, watching him and his comedy, his humor, seeing how he entertained politicians and entertainers, all of that plays into being something. I'll never forget Howard Cosell, meeting him as a young boy, watching him on ABC Monday Night Football, especially watching Ali and all the things that Ali had done with Howard as an interviewer. And all of that is why I'm grateful. From family to wife to children to the parents, of course, and everyone that's played a role in helping us get this program going. Again, you, just like I know, success is a squiggly line. Everybody goes through something, but you keep showing up. You keep pushing forward. I'm appreciative of so much of that, and I just wanted to give that to people. So from Oprah to Johnny Carson to Howard Cosell to watching, there's a Jim Hill who was a sports broadcaster. I think he may still work in Los Angeles. Watching him growing up. Just Irv Cross, Jane Kennedy, seeing these great orators on TV, doing sports, doing news. Ed Bradley from CNN News, loved watching Ed Bradley speak. Maury Schaefer, all of these guys. And Walter Cronkite, just remembering that growing up, my parents were watching him all the time, and he said just the facts. I pour all of that I've learned from getting haircuts at barbershops. Grandfather's a pastor, grew up next door to a pastor as a young boy, getting my hair cut there, listening to old men talk and women talk about real things that maybe they didn't want the young people to hear. But I just want to encourage young people. Again, it's not for everybody. Everybody has their own story in life. But what I would love to bring to the sports universe is whenever we talk to athletes, the very few times that we may, or a politician or entertainer, I hope that we can have them share, just like Mr. Johnson did, that launched BET. What do you do when you're not playing sports? What do you do to help fix the problems with the criminal justice system? I've known many lawyers over the years. I had a network of lawyers that I've worked with and been affiliated with. Thank goodness for them. Taught me a lot about the law. And growing up, knowing the clergy, teaching me about prayer, asking God for favor. And sometimes it seems like God is not there. It's like, well, how's God there for you? Because people go through challenges. Whether you want to help everybody or not, you can't. But I'm grateful for everybody that at times in my life where I felt like I was, not to offend anyone, but I felt like I was a blind person trying to cross the street, and someone said, hey, hold my hand. I'll help you get across. I'll never forget that. And I want to be that. That's important for me to be that. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and girls and boys sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. For every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports. Whether you're a pro player, a collegiate player, a high school player, or your mom and pop soccer league, when you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. So again, today for Independence Day, I wanted to just speak from the heart of what I'm grateful for. As people celebrate, please be safe. Just please be safe. And if you're going to drink, as we know a lot of people do, please don't drive. Just if you're going to drink, please don't drive. You can Uber, you can call a friend, you can call a cab, or you could just sleep it off. But we want to make sure that whoever goes into the 4th of July celebration, that you come out of it healthy and safe, and that you don't cause harm to anybody. Enjoy your sporting events. Enjoy your food. Enjoy whatever you're going to do. Call people, tell them you love them, you're thinking about them. No matter what it is, do that. But I just wanted to hope that this next wave of sports talk, at least from what I can have access to, I don't want it to be about just reading you scores. I think that's disingenuous. When people who have access to knowledge can share with you things that may help a young person, I think we should. And for the mainstream media that may say, no, just shut up and talk sports, at the end of your life, did you do everything you could to make life better for those who listen to you? Whether it's your own children or someone else's child, being a part of AAU basketball, and it's a sports league all over the country, there are a lot of young boys and girls that don't have a father. They don't have a father's presence. They may have an uncle or an aunt, but they may not have a mother. They may not have that person in their life. So as they gravitate towards sports, as many kids of color have been pushed into that, it happened to me when I was a young boy. People say, hey, you play sports? You play football? Hey, you should be a good athlete. I'm not talking about math, science, going into medicine, going into history, art, critical thinking. All of those things are possible. But I just want to make sure that at least when a young person is wondering, how do I go from success or where I am to be successful? Again, at the movie studio I was on, there's a straight line and a squiggly line for success. We all think it's straight, but it's usually squiggly. And I'm so inspired again by Bringing Up Johnson. Borrowed $15,000 to launch BET Network. Sold it for over $1 billion. You can Google it. Why is that important? It's important so people know that they too can be just like Johnson. Or you can Google, Mr. Gaston, who born in Jim Crow, lived 104 years, and he ended up making over $100 million in his lifetime. Now, it's not for everybody, but there are a lot of people that dream, and you're not really sure how to get there. I believe that when you are ready, the teacher will show up. It's happened time and time again. And something that Big C always talks about is just do what you can do. Don't worry about other people. There'll be a lot of people that come along in your life, and they'll say, give me some money and I'll make you rich. Or give me some money and I'll open a door for you. They can't open any door that you're not willing to walk through. When I started doing work with Fox Sports back in '96, Mike Roig, Fran Morrison, on John Madden's crew with the late Pat Summerall, they didn't say, give me some money and I'll let you get into the broadcast truck. They said, do you know how to keep stats? What do you know about sports? I just spoke the truth. They hired me on the spot. I didn't send in a resume. Maybe it's a gift from God. And I say that to the person thinking that success is a straight line, is a squiggly line. I still want to go back and thank Victor Davis and Andy Bark with Cal Sport and Mark Tennis. They had opened a door for me because I covered sports since I was in high school. And I've always been enamored with athletes that competed and seen how much they put their heart and soul into something. So that, to me, is something I'll forever be a part of. I know today is an abbreviated show. I just wanted to say for the 4th of July, I wanted to just reach out to the sports universe and tell people that I hope that you all can have a great 4th of July. I know in the NFL, we look at Julian Edelman. He was denied his appeal for a 4-game suspension. That came down today. And, when you think about it, The Saints lose a bet. They can't wear black jerseys at home when they host the Eagles. People have bets that go on. Reuben Foster suspended 2 games for conduct. I mean, there's so much going on in the world. Fantasy football, they have that game on where everybody's trying to pretend they have their own team. In baseball, how are teams using Twitter to promote all-star voting? I think if you think about that, we're all involved in some form of social media. And Twitter is one thing, but Big C Sports is also launching an app that will allow professional athletes to get paid by a subscription service. That's something that came to me out of my good friend out of Chicago. We'll launch that too this year as we launch Big C Sports on television. And then, again, success is a squiggly line. I go back to Mr. Johnson. No matter what I've been through, everybody has something. Just most people don't tell you that they're going through whatever they're going through. Whether it's health or finances or relationships, everybody goes through something. I thank God for health, wealth, and wisdom. If you look at the Angels, they get another shot at the Mariners today. The Yankees and Gardner, they're pleased with the pace of play, and they have fines going on. People, baseball, there's some attitudes in baseball too, and people play with their heart and their passion, and sometimes you're going to have, some issues. The Nationals activate Matt Adams, had a broken finger, and he's coming off the DL. So good luck with him. Hopefully he can stay safe. I just think when I look at all that's going on in sports and what I'm grateful for, my 4th of July, I want to just thank everybody. It really is a show of saying thank you. In NBA, we know we love the NBA, rating the best and worst of NBA free agency moves so far. Everybody's going to decide who got the best of the deal. I think Golden State Warriors getting Boogie Cousins really is a bigger deal than the Lakers getting LeBron James, just my opinions, even if he plays right around the holidays. Just having his presence on the floor, not having to be the guy, I think it's going to help a lot. Raymond Felton re-signing to push the OKC past $300 million. That's a lot of money. They have obviously going to pay the luxury tax, but they don't care. They have the money, owners, billionaires. I think about everything that's happening with the NHL, Canada. We love talking about Canada. Oh, Canada, our home and native land. And you look at that's for you, Big C, my good old friends in Canada. But Luke Longley he says Philippines coach incited in a brawl, a World Cup qualifier. Why are we having people fighting at the World Cup? It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be where everybody's happy. But sometimes when you're passionate about something, you're going to argue. Couples argue all the time. Husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend. Try to see the other person's side of the story, and hopefully that makes things better. I think about some of the things in the NBA. Wilson Chandler traded from the Nuggets to the Sixers. All these things are a part of the sports universe. Does it really matter? What really matters is what's going on in your life. What are you grateful for? What's your Independence Day? And I just wanted to take a day. I know Big C's doing a big barbecue down south, but I'm here on the West Coast, and I want to just have a special moment to say thank you to everyone that's followed Big C Sports over the years. Before we launched this, and also, doing what we do now. There are a lot of people that have been of help to us. College football coming up. Love that. What teams can make a run at the College Football Championship. Really love the fact that that's out there. 2018-19 college football is actually going to be settled in Northern California, Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, San Francisco, to decide who wins the College Football National Championship. So no matter who wins what, I'm just appreciative of Independence Day. Amen. For men and women out there, remember, the First Amendment, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, and freedom of the press. Everybody has the right to speak, not meaning to offend anyone. Ask everyone to Google everything. That's what makes our country great, that we can Google in the land of the free and the home of the brave. You can check people right away and see if they're telling you the truth or not, even if it's Big C Sports. So again, I just wanted to do a special show today on Independence Day for people that are fighting for equality all over the world. In fact, all over the universe, for men and women and children. Let's keep everybody safe. I just thank everybody. I know I'm forgetting people too, but today's a day of having fun. If you like to sit down and celebrate with food and libations. Maybe Big C don't have too many libations, but maybe you'll have that as something to fall back on. If it's someone that you haven't heard from, reach out to them. You can't determine if they reach out back to you, but you can at least reach out for people, pray for people, wish everybody well. And as we just tell you, happy Independence Day, United States of America. Everyone, please be safe as you have fireworks and libations. And I always want to tell you, every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and the good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever any excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.